In yourself, but you do not know yourself, just like with astrology. You believe in it, and have maybe even taken classes with me, and you've heard how I make sense of it, but you don't really know it. Honestly, these two are the same things, self-knowledge and astrological knowledge, because the study of astrology is the study of yourself. Astrology knowledge is self-knowledge if it's taught that way. And I say that with full intention. I know there are great astrology teachers out there, but there's also a lot of shallow junk being taught now, more and more. So it's hard for people to tell the difference, and it really matters. The truth is, thinking that you're learning something correctly, but learning it incorrectly, creates more ignorance, illusion, and unhappiness. So often Vedic astrology is taught in a way that's heavy or scary, with us more afraid of these cosmic energies than we were before we ever even heard of them. In about 7 minutes, I'm going to make it all really easy for you as well, so you'll never be scared or confused by astrology again. You'll know why you've been confused and be able to see through other astrologers, other people, and yourself when they are confused, because they're going to be confusing a very simple thing that you're going to understand. You need to make this shift so you can bridge the gap between believing in yourself and knowing yourself. Believing in astrology and knowing astrology. So the truth is, you're close to a huge breakthrough, just like hundreds of others who came before you, like Irina Suljak, who was a recent graduate from 2020. She said, Sam's approach is so great because it really teaches you the basics through a sophisticated system that is so natural, because we already know all of the energies we are made of. She went on to say, so his certification course isn't a life coaching course, but when you dive in, you'll really learn the essence of all life coaching promises, such as motivation, hope, flow, glow, success, happiness, and so much more. I'm so thankful that I came across it 9 months ago. It was really one of the best decisions of my life. So yes, it's so true, and it goes back to a phrase that really started it all for me in 2006. Astrology is not something up there, it's something in here. Years ago, when I was starting out, trying to know myself better, and my karma and Vedic astrology as the science of karma, this was the main thing I saw that was lacking, and I still see it lacking. So what does the phrase mean? It means that Vedic astrology is not just one more external thing that you should be grasping for to help you feel better or make sense of what seems to be a chaotic world. No, it's the science that explains the true nature of who you are, why you're here in this lifetime. You're here to do what only you can do. And when you understand it correctly from the Eastern Vedic lens, connected to yoga, Eastern spirituality, you realize it answers every question you ever had about yourself and existence itself. And I know that's a very high claim, but as I said, in a few minutes, I'm going to explain this to you in a very simple but profound way. Truly, the most important thing you need to know about astrology is, what is it? Notice I said the most important thing you need to know, not to believe, but to know. As I said, it's very easy for us to have this illusion of knowledge, this illusion of understanding, because we've gathered a lot of information about something. We think we really know it. Especially, we think we know it better than we actually do. You see, I have no doubt that I can talk and talk and talk about what I know about astrology, and you would believe it. And you might even think that you know it, because you heard me say it and you believe what I'm saying. But I want more for you than that. Like Irina Suljak said, it's knowledge for her now. Before she believed it, but now it's knowledge because it's reconnecting her to her inner knowledge. And she knows it. She doesn't just believe she knows it, she knows it. And I also want you to know it. Like hundreds of others before you now also know it. For example, Debbie Carell said in 2021, my level of knowledge upon beginning this course was basic at best. I'd watched some of Sam's videos, and then after going through the course, came to the certification exam. It was very fair, yet a challenge, and really tested if I had learned the material. After completing the test, I felt a real sense of accomplishment, and then the moment of truth. I can now say I'm a graduate of level 1 certification, and I can proceed to level 2. And if I can do it, you can do it too. Thank you, Sam, for this wonderful course and all the bonus material I've learned and grown, and look forward to the next chapter. So now I'm going to show you this Eastern and Western view chart. This is what I wanted you to understand so that you can realize the big shift that needs to happen. As much as we all think we know things, we really are still in a very Western Judeo-Christian mindset paradigm where we see things in a very material sense. And where we see ourselves as this physical body, and we have these emotions, and then the spirit is somewhere in there, but we're not really so sure. From the Eastern view, it's very different. The spirit is the real thing. Then there's emotions, and then what happens externally in the world, that's the illusion. It's called Maya. So everything that you misunderstand is because you're disconnected from source and from spirit. So just for example, as we get to the Eastern and Western chart, and we look at something like religion and spirituality. For example, in the West, worship is key, where we worship an external God. In the Eastern sense, method is key. The technique, the meditation, the practice is the key to religion and spirituality. In fact, religion is worship, spirituality is method, is practice. Because meditation is science. It's not religious. It's a practice, for example. There's religious worship, but spirituality is method. By the way, Vedic astrology is a spiritual practice when it's done correctly. If it's disconnected and it's just a material pursuit, like I said, what is astrology? That's the answer. Or you have to answer that question before anything else happens. If it's just a way for you to get something, then it's just going to be very limited, and you're going to be limited. When it's a spirit, when it comes from a spiritual source, then you are studying the source of spirituality when you're studying the astrology. At least that's the way I teach it.
I am Alexis Cox. I am a graduate of level 1, 2, and 3 of SAM's certification class, and I am a huge advocate of these classes. They have been life-changing for me. I began my path as a yoga teacher with some background in Ayurveda, and I would try to integrate these two sciences in my classes, in my private students. And then learning Vedic astrology just brought in this whole other element. I began to have a better understanding of where people were at each day when I would come into my classes. And I had a better understanding of the spiritual science behind all of this to begin with. Just integrating these sciences really helps you understand more and more and more depth. But then from there, I started to have another career. I started to be able to give readings to people. I started to have confidence giving readings to people. It was unbelievable how quickly I was able to confidently give readings to people. You know, starting off simply, and then getting more and more advanced as I went through the programs. I went through level 1, I went through level 2, and I had a new career. By the end of level 2, I was doing as much astrology as I was teaching yoga. A really, really beautiful way to help people, to show people what it is they're going through in their life, and to understand what I'm going through in my own life. Such a blessing. And the way that Sam teaches, you will understand those things. You will understand the transits as they happen, and you will understand the dasha cycles as they happen, and you will understand the planets and the signs and what they do mean and what they don't mean. You will not feel so much fear about what's upcoming in your life. You'll understand it's all part of a grander plan. It's all part of Sanatana Dharma, of eternal truth, and there's not good and there's not bad. It's just all part of it.
So the Eastern-Western view, God and the Creator. In the Western sense, God is outside. Old man in the sky or something. In the Eastern sense, God is inside. Everything you're looking for, the source of power, is internal, not external. You have to go inward to find it, not outward to find it. So time and the afterlife, linear time or one life, wheel of time, and karma. So time in the afterlife, in the Eastern sense, is there's a wheel of time, which is related to karma. In the Western sense, it's linear time, one life. So again, this creates enormous stress for you. If you think you're just this physical body, again, let's go back to the beginning. In the Western sense, everything is this materiality. You're this body, you're these emotions, and you're living right now in this lifetime. Time is linear. You're born, then you die, and then what? Then maybe there's an afterlife. Again, this Western perspective, everything first is form, and then emotion, and then spirit, we don't really know. This creates a one life, linear time existence, and everything we're looking for is outside, external, and it creates enormous stress. Because if you think that when you die or someone dies, that's it, then it's enormously stressful. How did you get here? What are the circumstances of this life? What does it all mean? You didn't choose all of that. You just somehow found yourself and that's it. I get this one life to figure it out, or I go to hell, or some other kind of thing. It's very stressful on the Western mind. And you're so used to it that you don't even question it anymore. The Eastern sense is very different. It's not just this one time, or this one life, this linear time. Time is a wheel. It's a circle. That's what karma is. You incarnate. You're on the wheel of samsara, it's called. The wheel of illusion, the wheel of Maya. The real thing is the spirit. The spirit incarnates in this lifetime. It has attributes from the past lives. You incarnate in this lifetime. You didn't choose your childhood. You didn't choose your parents. You didn't choose your name. You didn't choose your gender. You didn't choose any of it. It was chosen for you. And forget all the New Age spiritual notions of your soul chose this. If you don't remember choosing it, then forget it. You didn't choose it. And that's not bad. That's good. You were chosen. The universe chose you at this time to incarnate in this form. And then your life begins on this earth, and you go through a linear time structure, your karma on this earth, and then it passes and goes into the other dimensions, and then you come back. Or maybe you don't. When you become liberated, you break off the wheel of time, off the wheel of karma. But in this context, astrology is seen as this wheel of time and the divine energy that you incarnated into. So again, when you learn this correctly, when you really learn astrology correctly, you learn the nature of life, time, karma, incarnation, and of course, you as being part of that, but you learn the real you, not the part of you that's just attached to all of these bad stories, because that's what they are. And again, you can see how astrology, if it's not taught correctly, can just keep reinforcing all of the negativity. Oh, watch out, Saturn, Rahu, oh God, oh, you, this person, this thing's going to happen. All of that is just making it worse. It's better to not even listen to astrology if you're going to listen to it that way. So again, this is why I say I want you to know it correctly. Knowing it correctly is knowing your nature correctly. So continuing, Eastern and Western, matter and form. Okay? Substance over essence is the Western view. Essence over substance is the Eastern view. So it's the same thing, but it's very different. Okay? Because matter and form, in the Western sense, again, substance is the thing. I'm this substance. Right? In the Eastern sense, I'm this essence. The essence is the important thing. The substance is just the product of the essence. In the Western sense, no, I'm this body and I have these emotions and these feelings, and the essence is in there somewhere. But even as we grow, even in a Western context, we understand that the essence precedes the substance. Your consciousness and emotions and feeling are really what determine the form. But it's a very important shift that you need to make. Whatever it is that's happening externally is coming from a place that's invisible, first emotionally, and then even more subtle on the spiritual level, on the level of essence. And that's what karma is, and that's what astrology is understanding the essence. First, the universal essence, the transcendent essence. Then how you are embodying the subtle and delightful ratio of the universal principles of power and feeling and etc. There's an essence, you have an essential nature, and then that filters down into all of the forms and the material things that show up in your life. So the Eastern and Western approaches to health sciences. There's the observed is important in the West, and in the East it's the observer is the key. So again, in Western medicine, the observed, what we can magnify under a microscope and experiment on in the material realm is the most important with the health sciences. In the Eastern sense, the observer is the key. The subjective aspect of health is primary to the observed. So once you observe a symptom, you know that the observed thing that you can see, like the cancerous tumor or the health problem, is coming from an issue with the observer, which means that the person behind it is doing something out of alignment, right? So you start with the observer, not the observed. And the astrology itself, in the Western astrology, it's disconnected from sciences and culture. Vedic astrology is connected to sciences, culture, and karma. Again, this is a huge difference. And you see a lot of those who are Westerners who go to teach Vedic astrology because they've actually come from a Western astrology background, but then they learned Vedic astrology, but they're not really connected to that Vedic culture. Like, for example, the culture of yoga and the spiritual culture and Ayurveda and the energetic culture. And it's not just Westerners, Indians, Westerners, whatever. Vedic astrology is something that, again, because it's predictive and it can help you live your life or what have you, but on a very basic level, Vedic astrology is connected to the spiritual healing of India. It's one of the Vedangas, the Vedic teachings, whereas in Western culture, Western astrology isn't connected to the medical system. It's not connected to the spiritual system. It's not connected to the religion. In fact, it's considered heresy, right? So again, Vedic astrology is deeply enmeshed with the healing systems, the meditation, the energetic models, the medical system, and everything else. So it needs to be put in that context. And when it is, then it's that science of healing that connects you to spirit. When it's not, again, it still can help you, but it's going to be very fear-based and very materialistic. Like I said, it's going to be connected to all of this Western materialism. How can you earn more money with it? Or this can make me happy. Again, it can still make you happy, but that's not the real point. Would you rather have a little bit of money here, or would you rather connect to the true source of wealth, for example? Not to mention the fact that because Vedic astrology does talk about very, very intense and transformative things like birth and death and recycled, energy, if we don't understand things I just said, like, for example, time is a wheel, it's a circle, that, things like reincarnation and karma through past lives, then things like death and transformation and intensity can be very scary if we don't understand those things. If we don't understand that we incarnated and that we're going to go back into all that other energy, it's very scary to us. It shouldn't be scary. It's because you don't understand the continuum, right? So again, it's very important that Vedic astrology be taught in alignment with Indian teachings. And by the way, I started doing meditation when I was 18, so I've been doing the meditation longer than I've been doing the astrology. My astrology practice is based on having done meditation for 20 years before I even started doing astrology. So the Indian part is the most solid in me. That's why everything I teach always comes from that perspective, because I've been living my life from that perspective before the astrology even came. The astrology was put on top of that. So the important thing to understand is whatever you think something is will determine what it does for you or doesn't do. There's nothing wrong with seeing Vedic astrology as something external, something mostly there to help you just live a good life and be happy. That's fine, but that's just on the surface. Again, like I said, the real use of it on a deeper level is to connect you with that transcendent source of life itself. Again, astrology is not just something up there, it's something in here. When you understand it correctly, you understand yourself correctly, because it's analyzing and studying all of that divine energy brought down into form.
Hello, my name is Tammy Buckner, and I wanted to take a few moments to talk about Sam and his courses. I have been through Sam's level 1 course, his level 2 course, his level 3 course, and am now involved in his tutoring program as well. So I've studied with Sam for many, many, many years. I was introduced to Sam and his teachings around 2010, and I had been studying with other astrologers, and I was at a point where I was really ready to dive deep in my studies. I was passionate about wanting to create my own practice, so it was just perfect timing. One of the things I loved most was the way that Sam had his courses set up with the online learning environment. It was invaluable for me in my situation. I was super busy raising two young kiddos back in 2010. They're not as little anymore, but still busy with them. But the learning environment Sam created was so amazing in the flexibility. I could watch the videos when I had time. Another thing with Sam is that he was always so encouraging with all of his students to really step into a big space with it. He was always wanting us to get out and to practice and to do readings and to share with as many people as possible. So it was incredible to have someone that was so encouraging and wanting us to create our own practices and really to get out there and to do the readings and to share. It's been invaluable to have that type of encouragement. If any of you are considering signing up for one of Sam's courses, I highly recommend it. I truly believe that this is something that can empower yourself, it can empower your own life, and hopefully be something that you get to share with many others. I'm so grateful for Sam and all of his teachings.